Welcome to this first episode of Tellypathic with your hosts Mark and Gary. Hi, Gary.
Hey, how's it going?
Not bad, not bad. Shall we tell everyone what this podcast
Yeah.
is all about? Right?
What are we even doing here? Yeah.
Why are we here? What's going on? Right. Essentially, we often spend time playing board games of all things, and we're always talking shit about TV and movies. And one thing we always circle back to is Star Trek, right?
Yeah, every time.
But there's all sorts of other things. So in the end, I think you suggested, why don't we just record this? Why don't we do a podcast about this? And we did sort of focus on Star Trek, but then we thought, you know what? It'd be more fun just to talk about whatever we want to in terms of TV episodes.
We're definitely going to talk about other things. There's no shot that we didn't end up talking about other things. So yeah, we did want to limit it for sure.
But what we are limited to is TV episodes. An episode of TV is what we talk about per show, right? Or in this case, it's a two-part, but it is one long story. An episode, two episodes of TV. There's one story. Yeah,
Star rules. Star rules. It counts.
Yeah. And we've decided to call it Tellypathic. Now we went for a lot of different names.
Yeah, all the good names are taken. Apparently,
they're all taken.
Podcast about Star Trek.
We got more and more obscure, like the really quite only Star Trek people would know, like Prune Juice. How about Prune Juice? Can we call it? No, that's taken. And in the end, we thought it was going to be about telly, and we were like trying to think of terrible puns. And I thought we thought of some great names, but they were all taken.
Yeah, it was almost always.
So we come to Tellypathic because it's kind of stuff where you're mad about TV. That's it's punish, right? It's pun adjacent.
It'll do. Yeah.
Yes, but we had some fun trying to think of names. But it took about 2 hours of just before we even talked about what we were going to sort of.
It was longer than an encounter at Farpoint, I think.
Yeah, it was longer than an encounter at Farpoint. So, as I said, Star Trek's going to be our backbone mostly, isn't it? There's another perspective you wanted to talk about in terms of generations, right? Do you want to go ahead with that?
Well, yeah. So obviously the main focus, we were talking about Star Trek: The Next Generation, but a key difference between us is that we are of different generations. So Mark's really old, and I'm not. I'm
ancient.
Really ancient. He's basically ancient history. Actually, that's a good point. When did you first watch Star Trek TNG?
I watched it in the early 90s because it first came to Britain, I think a couple of years after. I'm not entirely sure, but it was on Sky, and I didn't have Sky, so couldn't watch it. Heard all about it, couldn't watch it, and I think by the time it got to like season 3 on Sky, it then came to BBC Two. It became terrestrial TV. So I think I started watching. I definitely watched the first episode and onwards when it first aired. I should look it up really, but those are the ones I watched. I think it was probably 91, maybe 92. So close to it. I mean, say that 5 years after it actually came out, those first episodes came, because it aired from 87 to 94 over 7 seasons.
I thought.
I thought it was 90s. I honestly did. I was quite surprised, but it kind of makes sense, I guess, because it looks more like old school. It doesn't look like, say, Twin Peaks or the X-Files, does it? It's proper. Everything's well lit and all that stuff, right? So it did get moodier towards the end, but even so, you can kind of tell from that sort of style, can't you? But yes, so that's what I watched. What about you? When did you first encounter it?
Well, mostly through, I didn't even know what I was watching, right? I was like 6 or 7, and Dad would just have the TV on, and I'd be like, what's this? And it'd be Star Trek. He was mostly into the original series, but like I have core memories of sitting down with my dad and watching TNG. Like I was born in the early 90s, right? So it was reruns for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting parallel because I was 6 or 7 when I was watching the original Star Trek.
Right, yeah.
And that was airing for the first time. Or maybe not, probably reruns actually in the UK. Would have been like 72, 73. you know.
Yeah,
So
and
5 years
I'll
after.
definitely we'll definitely talk about TOS, but I only watched TOS all the way through in my adulthood, I guess.
Yeah,
Um, I grew up with TNG. TNG was always my Star Trek to me.
yeah.
Um,
I was always
yeah,
a fan of Star Trek. Love Star Trek. In fact, I used to have a Super 8 projector, and I actually bought, get this, for 80 quid. And this is in the late 70s, so you're probably talking about 700-800 quid now.
yeah. You're not messing
So
around.
one episode of Star Trek called by any other name, not even a great episode, an episode of original for
Yeah,
80 quid in the 70s. And I had to pretty much work all summer to get the money to buy that. I was working in the dry cleaners all summer. To do that. So
that's insane.
I am
Yeah,
a fan, right?
yeah. And like I say, I grew up with Star Trek. And yeah, and then I don't think I've left it. I think I've always
No,
watched it,
no.
and um,
And
yeah,
I'm currently
yeah,
doing a full watch through of stuff I've never seen. I'm on
that blew my
season 5 of
mind.
Deep Space Nine. I've never seen
I
Deep
couldn't
Space Nine all through.
believe you hadn't seen all
Never
of
seen.
DS9.
I think I
was
might
like,
have
it's my
seen a
favorite
bit
one.
of Void. Yeah, no,
It's not my favorite one. Actually, I take it back. Like TNG is my favorite one, but yeah, Deep Space Nine is a close follower. So yeah, it's exciting to hear your thoughts. We'll definitely do a few of those episodes because there's some
yeah.
absolute bangers in DS9.
I just saw the crossover one, Tribbles and Tribulations, which was
That's
so
a lot of fun.
great, so
That's a lot of
great,
fun.
such a good episode. It's nice to get back to it. The OG now and again, right?
And it all just that episode's so good because of the juxtaposition between like the dark shit that's going on in DS9,
Yeah.
and then by the way, do you remember how fucking upbeat and cool TOS was? It makes you
Yes.
want to watch the original series just watching
Yeah.
that episode. Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're talking about everything but TNG. What's
Right,
you've got?
let's get to
You got some
TNG.
facts. You've got some facts and shit on.
I've
TNG,
got some
right?
facts. Well, I'll say facts. I'm reading
Dry
Wikipedia, right? It first aired on September the 28th, 1987. This is in the US, obviously. 87, and ran until May 23rd, 1994, with 178 episodes over 7 seasons. Amazing, because I think the original Star Trek only got to 79 episodes, so it's more than doubled the original. And it was basically the third bit of Star Trek on telly, right? Because we had the original series, then we had the animated series, which is kind of interesting in its own beast, and then we get the Next Generation. Interesting. I mean, I think probably it spun out of the movies being successful, the old school movies being successful, and keeping the interest up in Star Trek, right?
Yeah, they knew the market was there. They know people would go out to see it. And
yeah,
I think
it was
it's
about the
fair.
only sci-fi that was around, though. It was about the only sci-fi on telly that was kind of reasonable production values. BBC were knocking out some, but they were pretty shonky. They were cheap and cheerful. Doctor Who and
Doctor Who
and
and
stuff.
that.
Yeah. But really, it was Next Gen was the one. Now it seems weird now, doesn't it? Because there's so much available on, sci-fi and sort of sci-fi adjacent kind of stuff. But Next Gen's kind of stood alone for quite some time, so it's kind of interesting.
And I guess we can talk about why we love Star Trek as part of this, but one of the things that I think is so unique about Star Trek is it isn't that focused on fighting and star battles and explosions and all that stuff that usually you'd attribute with successful sci-fi these days, right?
Yeah.
So really cool to know that it was successful even.
Yeah,
on
it was. I also think the original Next Gen stuff was a bit hampered for the first few seasons because Gene Roddenberry was insisting, no, everyone's friendly.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that when we talk about the first episode. I think we can talk about some of the Roddenberry isms.
Yes.
Yeah,
but Roddenberry's a great influence on this. It's a great universe. 100%. Interestingly, I'm currently also watching Babylon 5 for the first time, right? And that is not Star Trek in that it's proper. Someone's got to clean the toilets and someone's got to pay taxes, and you know what I mean. All of this. We've evolved stuff that you get in Star Trek is not there in Babylon 5. Babylon 5 is more akin to like Red Dwarf or something, right? In that respect. So it was interesting. Now, so should we talk about the cast? I mean, everyone knows the cast, really, don't they? I suppose.
Yeah, I know. Should we just pivot to talk about the first episode, because that's one of my talking
we
points.
can talk about
I think
the
it does a
cast.
great job introducing the cast in this episode, right?
Yeah, we get to know everyone, and it's interesting. Some of the things they introduce are never used again. I noticed that.
Someone knows too.
So starts with the Enterprise being captained by Jean-Luc Picard. Yes, the most English Frenchman in existence. Some interesting early shots. I noticed when he was talking about the Enterprise and walking around right at the beginning, they were using handheld, so it kind of gave it a found footage kind of feel. Do you know what I mean? It was kind of interesting.
There were some really unique choices that you don't see later on in TNG that they use in this pilot. It is a pilot, so you can tell it's a pilot too.
Oh yeah, man! It's very it's a bit too reverential about stuff in places too. So it almost reminds me of Star Trek: The Motion Picture in the way that, oh wow, look at that! Whoa, let's stand and look at this for a bit. There's a bit of that, right? There was a bit of that for it.
Anyway, tell us what happens. What is the Enterprise doing at the first start of the episode?
So I'll just give an overview of the episode, then we can go through bits and bobs, right? But essentially. It's on a mission to a place called Farpoint, and they get interrupted by an alien called Q, who seems to be omnipotent and all powerful and challenging. Let's put it that way. We get into the scenes as we go, but they've got to contend with this Q being, kind of try and prove to it humanity has moved on. While going to this Farpoint and trying to figure out what's going on there, this space station that they kind of want to make a kind of an alliance of sorts, isn't it? Because at one point, one of the guys says, "Well, if you're not interested, we could talk to the Ferengi." So we name checking the Ferengi early on, right? That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's worth saying that Q specifically is saying that we are not evolved enough as beings to go any further in the galaxy. We have explored.
He's challenging.
We explored the limits that he believes that humans should go, and obviously, Picard is not impressed with that take.
No. And he kind of tries to deal with Q in several different ways, and we have quite several dramatic moments that don't. Some of them don't kind of result in anything. It's a bit odd, but it doesn't really matter. A lot of energy, so it kind of works, right?
Yeah. So then there's obviously they get to Farpoint with the conflict there as well.
Well, so the first episode we get introduced to Data as well. We get Brent Spiner doing his android stuff, and it's pretty cool. I also know it always cracks me up that Troy, the counselor, has got a seat next to the captain. That always made me laugh. But she doesn't look quite the same as she does in the rest of the series. In this, she's got big frizzy hair and long boots on, and she looks like a '60s hippie chick to me. That's what I've got. I've got a note saying hippie chick.
I think I like that. I've always liked that about TNG. Like they tried something different where you could tell maybe it was a Roddenberry-ism where it was like, I want, what would a crew like that have? Well, they'd probably have a therapist or somebody to talk to, like counselor role. And they put them on the bridge and they make her like super important. Yeah. And I thought, you know what? Like, I think the initial idea of having a telepathic on the bridge, being able to think about, like, her powers are never really confined or controlled by the writers. Sometimes she can hear thoughts, from across the galaxy, and then other times she can't, see the thoughts of like enemy ships sneaking up behind you in
Yeah.
and I feel like she should. But yeah, it doesn't matter. I like that character's idea. I think she gets woefully underutilized. However, in this episode, I think she does actually get a good use of her role. I feel like
Yeah,
the
it kind
writers
of
use
works.
yeah.
It does kind of work. Though I think there's a few powers she used I don't recall ever seeing again. But I could be wrong. It's been a long time since I've sat through TNG, so
Yeah.
we'll see. Right. We then they encounter some weird force field with like lattice work, which again, this is one of these things where they're kind of calling back to the original series. That lattice work they encounter reminds me of an episode of the original series called the Tholian Web.
Yeah.
So
again, it's kind of a
interesting.
weird. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like it's like classic Star Trek-ism of well, we're kind of forgetting that we're in space, so like just putting a wall in space kind of doesn't really makes sense in that in like that sense.
Yeah.
Works for the telly, but yeah, it's just like just go over it, man.
Well, it worked better in the Tholian Web because they actually put it around the entire Enterprise. That makes more sense, doesn't it? Right.
Yeah.
And then we get Q turning up in medieval outfits and talking kind of Shakespearean, which makes me laugh a lot. Reminded me very strongly of another character from the original series called the Squire of Gothos, who called Trelane, and I think in canon he's considered part of the Q.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Somehow.
He's in the continuum or whatever they call it.
Yeah, again, he talks to them like he's from the 19th century. But then it was, oh, sorry, I've been observing you from afar. And, because of the speed of light, how long did he's seen signals from 200 years before, which is why he was acting like he was. And Q's kind of doing the same, right? But he keeps upgrading his outfit, doesn't he, as we go on? Then we get like a bit of dramatic music, and we get the credits. Finally, we get the credits. The Final Frontier stuff, with Picard doing it, right? Kind of cool. Now, this early CG on this isn't great, but it's okay.
It's all right, Yeah. I still like. I mean, I remember it as a kid being amazing.
Yeah.
Watching it down, my brain does all the work. I'm just like, I see it. It's fine. I got no problem.
Yeah, it's fine. Well, the thing is now tellies are so much bigger. So it's like what looked great on a small screen doesn't look great on a big screen unless it's like HD and up state of the art. That's the problem.
Yeah.
The model stuff, the original series looks better because it's models, right? So that kind of looks better. Mostly models, not quite all of them.
There's still models in TNG, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and there's some CG in the remastered original series too, so it swings around about. And then we get Q, who's still pissing about, but he keeps turning into different outfits. He becomes a World War II soldier or general or something, doesn't he?
Well, yeah. So he's using it, isn't he? He's traipsing through our past. Interestingly enough, like he traipses through like all of the past within like 100 years. Like he goes from like the 1800s, then he like touches on, like you say, the world wars, and then he jumps straight forward to like the what is it, the bioeugenics war, right?
Yes, it's basically a soldier powered by drugs. It's kind of
and they touch on that more in the S9 actually.
Yeah,
it gets played back later, but yeah, so he's just like, look, you guys suck. You keep fighting and killing each other, and all your technology improvements have come from that. You don't deserve to go any further. You're still that. Doesn't matter how you dress up.
You're still basically apes, right? That's what he's kind of saying.
Looking for fights, and
yeah,
yeah, he's flexing his muscle. Like, look what I could do.
Yeah, we also meet Tasha Yar on the bridge. She's the security officer because basically they decide to try and outrun the Q, who's chasing them with a big sphere. But again, like warp 9.8 and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, that's a bit useless. But they try, right?
Yeah, it's a good example of like, they don't yet quite understand how. I mean, we've all seen the show, we know how powerful Q is. But
Yeah,
I've got some more tech notes on that. But I thought Natasha Yar's intro was really funny, where Q's traipsing around the bridge. He just appeared there, and he's traipsing around the bridge, and he's like, fucking around. He's changing his outfit, and he's making fun of everybody. And
yeah.
Yar is like, as the security officer, I can't allow this on my bridge. And it's just like, that's the intro, just so everybody knows she's the
Yeah.
security officer. I thought that was funny. Bit unnecessary.
There is a few quite specific exposition dumps throughout. They're a bit clunky on rewatch, but you're going to, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So and I was a bit confused here. They decide to try and outrun the queue or get away from the queue. They decide they're going to do a saucer separation. So we get
Yeah.
quite an extended sequence of
Yeah.
which was barely ever used again, right? There's a few episodes, I think, but basically it's just they make a lot of the big deal about the saucer separation.
Yeah,
Like,
all the
move into
civilians go into the saucer section, and then all of the bridge officers are going into the main section. And yeah, it definitely felt like the writers were like, "Oh, the bridge can separate, right? Cool. Let's make a really big deal about this."
Let's do that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it happens. It comes up like once or twice.
Yeah.
And all it does is create like problems in the writing for later in the series. Because they hit problems later on. You're like, why are the civilians still here? Why don't you separate the saucer?
Like you always do.
And you did. And they just don't. They just ignore that as a thing for the rest of the series, basically. I think it comes back for like the movie.
What my note against the saucer separation? So I've got two notes, which is this is goofy as fuck, and I also had a note. Music doesn't quite work. The music didn't really suit what was going on. It just seemed like, oh, we've got some music here. We haven't got any, so let's use what we got. It's like that.
You get to see the famous dude in the dress, though. When he exits, all the pieces. It shows the crew ushering the civilians to the saucer section, and then this guy power walks through the decks in his skirt. And it's amazing.
Yeah, which was a bit startling at the time. Obviously now we're used to dudes wearing skirts.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought it was worth shouting out that, like, yeah, great stuff. They don't give a shit.
There was one other note again. I mentioned about we see things in this we never see again. Troy's actually doing things at a console, like she's got a job.
Yeah.
That isn't just talking to people or translating emotions, right?
Yeah, I
don't recall ever seeing that ever again.
No. I don't recall the skirts on anyone, the women or the men, after episode 1. I don't remember the skirts coming back. Maybe they do.
Yeah.
No,
there's definitely skirts because I remember Picard's wearing one in one episode or a few episodes. Especially when he's got official duties.
Yeah, you're right.
So there's a few.
It's worth mentioning, actually. Like, so when I rewatch TNG, it's got to be said, I mostly rewatch from season 3 onwards. There's a few episodes in 2 and season 1 that I like, and I'll rewatch actively.
Yeah.
But if I'm doing a whole rewatch through, most of it gets skipped. And
well, that ain't about a whole rewatch. What are you talking about?
Yeah, well, you know what I mean. And like, I forget things. Like, I completely forgot that Riker wasn't on the ship at the start of the series. He's on Farpoint.
Yeah. We're gonna get to him eventually. Well, we're not quite there, but he's coming up. But he's not there. At this point, Q's still with them, right? So they haven't really.
It chases him easily. He's like, they're like, oh, we're going at warp 9.6 or something. Nothing can catch us. So they're like, he's going at like warp 9.8, and he'll be with us in 5 minutes. He's ahead of us. Yeah, it was a good moment.
Right, there we go. And at this point, we get this dramatic Picard surrendering to Q. which is, hasn't really got much choice, has he? It's an omnipotent being, right?
He knows.
It didn't even have to say that. At which point he kind of he transports them all to like some 21st century post-atomic war court where there's a rabble.
That's right. The famous Q outfit in his Inquisition outfit, right?
Yeah, this is the most memorable bit for me. This is the bit I always remember when I think about Farpoint, and the ending, the very ending.
Yeah, I was going to say the jellyfish, right?
The space jellyfish is really quite striking as well. But Q's outfit's kind of pimp, it's a pimp.
Yeah, pimp.
And the crowd's all baying, and I just love the whole court. They're going about the nature of the law back then. Which is they decided to pivot to guilty until found innocent. And I love Q's response. He goes, "You wanna, what sort of justice is that?" And he's saying, "What's the point?" So people are guilty until they're found innocent. He goes, "Yes. What's the point of bringing innocent people to a court of law?" And all this kind of thing. And he keeps threatening with Picard, if you do this, I'll kill you.
He keeps icing everyone, right? He keeps icing everyone. That's his thing in this episode, is he sort of Supermans them. He goes, he blows on them and then they freeze and they die.
Yeah, it's kind of, at one point he says, you will sit down for the judge, and they all stand up deliberately, don't they? And then Tasha just loses it and beats the shit out of some guard. And gets frozen.
Again, to show that she's a badass, right?
Yeah, Mr. Freezer Ray on Tasha Yar. So straight out of 60s Batman, that was. So she gets frosted.
Don't forget her rant about how she comes from a planet where these courts rule.
Yeah.
Again, they like touch on her backstory a little bit, don't they?
Yeah, not as startling as it becomes.
It will touch on that maybe in the future. But
but wow, she
backstory is
quite a tough place. Let's put it that way. So she's frozen, and then Picard's like, "Look, you said you wouldn't harm any of us if we played along with you. You're breaking your promise." So and Q's like, ugh. And unfreezes her eventually. Then we finally get to Riker, don't we? It looks so weird without a beard, doesn't he? He looks about 15 to me. I don't know.
I think he rocks both looks. Honestly.
He's still got the presence, isn't he? He's quite good. Jonathan Frakes is quite good. He's got the presence. He's obviously there. I mean, it looks like he's there because they think old Jean-Luc's a bit has to keep his dignity and not be doing away missions. So he's kind of, Kirk used to do away missions, but we can't have this bloke doing them. So let's have a younger bloke as like number one to all that. That's kind of the deal, isn't it? Yeah,
I think so. But also they talk, or at least the writers play it back to the audience at the end of the episode. And we could talk about that when it comes to it. Yeah, but there was a nice few lines where it's like, maybe that's not how this is going to go. But
and we know it doesn't really go like that.
We know it doesn't in the end as well. Yeah. So,
but then we also meet for the first time Beverly Crusher and Wesley.
Yeah.
So little Will Wheaton. I don't know how old he was. Yeah.
No. Yeah. 15, if that.
Yeah, and I do like when does Riker go back to the ship and they brief him by putting in front of a telly?
It's brutal. Yeah, so Picard says,
weird.
Picard says, "Monitor's over there, mate." He goes into his ready room, doesn't he? Doesn't even say, doesn't shake his hand, nothing.
Yeah, brutal. I've got a note here though. So when Riker does finally come out, I've got a note saying Riker's a boss because he don't care, does he? Just he's no sort of simpering kind of toady. He just says, "Yeah, I'm doing this, we're doing that," and Picard's fine with it. I think
it's worth saying as well. Like he's part of the reason why the Enterprise is going to Farpoint in the first place. So they do get the. Is it a distress or it's a message from Farpoint in general, right? Like somebody's gone missing or something.
Yeah.
Come find out. But also, we've got your first officer on Farpoint right now. It's Farpoint Station, so you pick him up. So they've got two reasons to be there, which is good. The Q stuff is just extra.
Yeah, I really like the Q stuff in this. I quite like Farpoint as a story. It was a bit more creaky than I remember it, though. I have to say there was quite a lot of creaky exposition and
Yeah. Do you remember what's
bits.
going on Farpoint? What's the mystery on that's happening on Farpoint?
Well,
What's right?
something's happening. I mean, just before we get to that, I'll just finish up.
Okay.
Most of it's
Yeah.
in part 2, so I'll just finish up part 1. I've got a note here when Riker does go and see Picard. The talk is kind of a bit cringe, right? Like, I don't really understand children. Could you help me with this? And that kind of.
Oh no, that's
it was
the end. That's the very end. That's the very, very end.
No, it's the end of episode 1, yeah, but not the end of episode 2, isn't it? Well, I've got a note here. I watched them in order, and I've got a note here specifically saying it's. All right, all right.
Anyway.
Maybe we'll come back to that. And then finally, we get Data accompanying an admiral who's unnamed, but is clearly McCoy. Right? It's clearly McCoy, ancient McCoy.
Yeah.
Are you a Vulcan boy? I don't...
Yeah.
Quite liked it. It was all right. It was a bit of a handover, though, right? A bit of a handover.
Yeah, which is a theme that most of the Star Treks do, other than Voyager. I don't think Voyager does it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what are the
DS9 does it.
the only other one I can think of in Next Gen is Scotty. Was there any others? There's one where Scotty and Geordie interact, isn't there? There's definitely one. It's quite a good one as well.
I just meant that the McCoy felt like a handover, and then in DS9 there's the handover where the Enterprise literally leaves DS9 and then the camera pans to DS9. Like, you're here now. You've left the Enterprise and now you're here, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah.
See what I mean? Like that handing off of the series to the next series kind of thing.
Yeah. Right. So that's episode 1. Episode 2, we meet another character, Geordie, right? Geordie's getting his eyes examined by Bev Crusher. Again, all a bit clunky. Oh, I can see in all of these spectrums. And she said, well, if you're suffering with pain, we could do this. He goes, no, that'll remove discipline. He keeps on about how much he's in pain with stuff, which I don't recall ever having again. Nope. That ever being raised ever again. So, and then... Sorry.
Well, does it establish that his role as the chief engineer, right?
Yeah, it does establish that. But and that's important. And also us knowing about his visor abilities is important. But the whole, I suffer pain when I use this.
Yeah,
that's nothing.
I don't know, being like a blind black person, I wondered if that was a choice of like, that Star Trek was always like progressive in those spaces. I don't know if that was a big deal back then.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah.
I don't really know, to be honest. But yeah, I thought. He's a great casting. He's a great casting.
But LeVar is excellent actor. Yeah. Oh, LeVar Burton. What am I saying? I'm saying it the wrong way around. LeVar Burton. Yeah. I'm always pleased to see him in stuff. And then we get a bit where Riker and Troy meet, and they obviously know each other. And we actually literally get her putting thoughts into his head, like talking to him about. Which did she ever do anyway? She does with her mum. I know that, but I don't recall.
She does do it with Riker. She does do it with Riker, but it's few and far between. And again, it doesn't really get played back until. I mean, they did it in the Picard series, right?
Oh wow! I'd forgotten that.
Yeah, they did that in season 3, which was cool. There was a lot of cool callbacks in that series, the nostalgia series.
Yeah. I do like the fact that obviously Troy and Riker are giving it all that to each other, and Picard's like, "Do you know each other?"
Yeah, and then he's like, "Yes, we do." He's like, "Oh, great," and then he walks away straight away.
It made me laugh. It was like, their eye contact was mental. In front of Picard, right? They clearly were just. It was almost like they were trying to stare each other out. Levels of eye contact.
Yeah, it wasn't like, are they going to beat each other up or are they going to kiss? Like,
yeah. But this is where they get to Farpoint and Troy starts detecting. There's a pain and a sense of loneliness and stuff like that.
She knows something's not quite groovy because it doesn't match up with what the indigenous. Are they indigenous? I guess they're not. The people who are on Farpoint that run
The
it.
But the
They're,
bandy, isn't it? Or the bondy or something like that.
yeah,
Isn't it?
they're able to sort of materialize anything you could want, right? So they're all very happy. They're all very like serving, and
Yeah.
everybody's chill. So what she's sensing makes no sense for the environment they're in, right? Which is an interesting mystery,
Yeah.
like what's
Yeah.
going on here, kind of thing.
You know what? I just realised I skipped something that was really goofy in the first episode because it was goofy and didn't go anywhere, which was Riker has to manually re-engage the saucer.
Yeah, like a little test that Picard gives him. Oh, are you certified to manually reattach the saucer section? Because
Yeah.
obviously, yeah, the Enterprise shows up at Farpoint separated, and they're rendezvousing back
Yeah,
at Farpoint
stupid, isn't it?
separated.
It
Yeah, and
is
they're like,
proper
"Oh yeah,
stupid.
can you just put the ship back together, please, mate?"
How does that saucer get there, right? I mean, it's got no engine, right? Or not much of one. Anyway,
Anyway,
I should mention we get Chief O'Brien, don't we?
oh yeah, he's on the con.
Yeah, he's on the con. Yeah. So Riker has to get directions from someone. There's this explanation of how the console will direct him.
That's right. The introduction.
Oh my god, it's so draggy.
Yeah, I kind of took that as like an introduction to the ship, right? Where in TOS that was never really a thing, right? Like talking to the computer, and they were trying to introduce this thing of like, okay, the computer's like really interactive on this new Enterprise, and it can lead you to the whole. Again, they never use any of that shit. They can obviously they talk to the computer, but all of like the arrows and stuff, they bring it back for some of the movies, but yeah. It's done and one and done on the first episode.
Yeah, and then basically he goes to the holodeck and it's in a, or I don't think he knows it's a holodeck, but basically he goes into this place.
He does.
A woodland.
Because he asks where Data is, right? And the computer tells him he's on the holodeck.
Oh yeah, but he seems flummoxed by the concept of a holodeck when Data explains it. So anyway, I guess it's introduced to the audience. Data's just leaning up against the tree trying to whistle Pop Goes the Weasel. Yeah. Okay. So
Data he's trying to be more human, isn't he? He's trying to be what was the word? He's trying to be like more
human.
Flamboyant and off the cuff. Yeah.
Data explains the holodeck and like Riker's a bit weirded out, like he's not seen one.
I think it's and they kind of play that off like the holodeck it's really advanced on the Enterprise. It's like
is that what
it's way better than like say Quark's holodeck in Quark's bar. It's like a really advanced version, which is the excuse they give why Riker's kind of talking about it, but they use Riker as the audience a lot in Star Trek. So
they use that. Yeah, just talking to Quark's holiday, they use that quite well in Deep Space Nine because he does talk about, I have to buy this program to be able to do this. He has to keep buying new stuff for his clients, and it kind of works, doesn't it?
They set it all up really nicely in TNG, and they expand on it later on. But all the hard work's done here, I think.
Yeah, and then
Wesley loves it, right? Wesley's
Wes turns up and falls into water. And Data gets about. At this point, we see Data super strong, don't we? That's how it works because he just holds him up in the air, kind of thing.
Yeah. To anyone who, for some reason, is listening to this podcast and does not know, Data is an android. His makeup in the episode is ropey. It definitely gets better, but in this first episode,
they must have given him better contacts. Those contacts look really painful to me.
Look, his face paint kind of looks he almost looks like the Joker. It's not quite right, but they fix it later on. But the first episode, there's something off about Data.
It's not good. It's not good. So I should mention at this point, we're kind of taking the piss out of things. We love Star Trek. We're allowed to take the piss out of it because we love it. But we'll fight anyone else who takes the piss out of Star Trek.
I'm going to take the piss out of it. But I'll try and endeavour to make sure that I say all the things I love about it as we go along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we get a scene where Bev Crusher is doing stuff while Wes is just annoying her to try and get on to a look at the bridge. And it's
Oh
kind of
yes, yeah.
yeah. So again, we go back to Troy sensing pain as they're kind of just walking around Farpoint.
Yeah, they meet the people, right, and everyone's happy. Here, have this. Oh, you want that? You want those strawberries or something? And then they just appear.
Yeah. But there's an indication this is all a bit sus. I mean, the music cues indicate it's all a bit sus, doesn't it?
Yeah,
So
the
we,
classic
as an
CG.
audience, we're primed for that. Yeah, we're primed for that.
And yeah.
Then Wesley comes onto the bridge and Picard's a bit pissed off. He's saying, "Children are not that." But then Bev crushes with him and he realizes it's Wesley. He didn't know it was Wesley, right? And he mentions he knew his father because apparently he brought the news to them that his father, Bev's husband, had died, right? And that was the last time he saw them, or something
Yeah.
like that.
Again, yeah, it's a weird Picard moment when he's like, "Oh, Beverly, I didn't know that you would
Yeah,
want to be assigned to the Enterprise." And it's like,
yeah.
sorry, you didn't know who your chief medical officer was. What the fuck are you on about?
Well, he's giving her an out, isn't he? He's saying, you know, I understand perfectly if you didn't want to move on. And it's like, no, I requested to be here. It's like, what?
Yeah,
Because
it was a
he's
weird moment.
frightened they'll
It's
bring
fine for
her
the show.
painful memories, right? I
Yeah,
guess he's showing he's got some empathy, though it's a fairly masculine kind of empathy, right? It's not like
yeah. I've got lots of notes on Picard. I think once we've done with the overview, we can go over some other stuff. Picard is a note I have, it's just in caps. I've written all
yeah.
caps Picard, not the shitty TV show.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
we can
okay.
talk about
Yeah. So then he allows Wesley to look around the bridge. And then another big spaceship turns up, or massive sort of saucer, and they kind of have to deal with that, right? And doesn't Q turn up and bait them now and again as well?
Yeah, it doesn't respond to their hails. It just charges weapons, right?
And it can scan and all sorts.
Yeah, it's like it's scanned us, Captain. It's charging its weapons. It's got shields that we don't understand. And
then
Picard's chill. Picard's chill.
He is. But Q turns up. And there's one point some of the stuff stops working properly on the ship. And I don't think it was that well explained. I assumed it was Q interfering rather than the large ship in front of them doing stuff. But it's never really clarified, was it? Or was it for you? It's like the phaser bag wouldn't work or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, you're right. I think it was that it was generating some sort of field that fucked up their instruments. Like it was so large and it was producing so much energy that it was messing up their, Star Trek logic. Their instruments, their delicate Federation instruments were getting messed up.
So then they're talking with Zorn, the head of the Bondi, who's sort of they're asking about what's going on. But he gets zapped and disappeared, and Troy says, "I can detect satisfaction." And they're saying, "What, from the ship?" And they say, "No, it's close. It's close." She said. So.
Well, hang on. I think you skipped a bit here because.
Did I? Okay.
Yeah, I think that they've been talking to Zorn, and they're like, what's going on? He's like, "There's nothing going on. There's nothing going on." And they're like, "Well, we're pretty sure that these guys who are aerial bombarding your city seem to think that there's something going on." Because this ship starts shooting, it's ignoring the Enterprise, and it's shooting the city.
Yeah, and he does say something like, "But we helped it. It was injured."
Yeah.
Okay, there it is. There it is.
Yeah. Picard side glances to Riker and is like, "Can you go down and kidnap that man, please?" Which again doesn't get explained because we know later on that the Enterprise is capable of teleporting people directly to its bridge.
Yeah.
So why they need to send two blokes to go and capture someone, it doesn't make any sense. But
They
it's
haven't
fine,
figured
it's
it out
fine.
yet. They haven't
Yeah,
figured it out yet.
we'll just ignore it. Yeah.
I did like there was one line that did make me laugh where basically and I was confused here. Were they on? I think they were on a spaceship at this point. Where Data's there and Riker's there and stuff like that, just wandering around talking about stuff. And at one point, Data actually says, "Sorry, sir, I seem to be commenting on everything." That just made me laugh because it's like they're acknowledging they're doing exposition dumps, right? Pretty much.
Yeah.
So writer's clever little trick to sort of acknowledge the exposition dumps going on.
Yeah.
But they do find Zorn in a pain amplifier or something, don't they?
Yeah. He's been teleported onto the alien ship.
And tortured,
he's in like a
much.
torture chamber, yeah.
And they realise the ship is a big alien and it's not just a ship, right? And Q's meanwhile, fire on him, fire and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, he's sitting behind like Darth Sidious, like, fire the photon torpedoes.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, no, man, I don't think we're going to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. And Picard's already got understood his spiel now, right? So it's like, yeah, we're not doing that.
Yeah, he figures it out, yeah.
And they realise there's a big alien and they realise what they've got to do and what's going on. So they basically disrupt the Earth somehow and let the other jellyfish out. And who is the entire Farpoint station. And 2 jellyfish meet and mates.
Yeah, it's revealed that these aliens change energy into matter, right? And so the Zorn and his alien buddies have been using its power to build Farpoint Station and give them whatever they want, like these strawberries and all this. It's all just stuff made by this alien. And so he was trying to keep it under wraps. He's like, no, it's fine, it's happy. But it's like, no, brother. That's like somebody's wife or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're basically torturing the thing, right? And chained up. It's chained up.
Yeah, it's chained up.
But it's out now. And that's kind of satisfies Q enough for him to just, okay. But he says, I'm going to be keeping an eye on you. So we know that Q's going to be coming back and being annoying. But it starts this very long relationship of Q being kind of fascinated by the Enterprise, doesn't it?
So I want to talk about Q a little bit more. Yeah. So this is the first time we've seen Q, right? And in this episode, he comes across as quite threatening and dangerous, and very dangerous. Like he's like, holy shit! Like he can kill people whenever he wants. He teleports us to seemingly impossible scenarios. He's quicker than we are. Like he's seen as a real big threat. And obviously later on, we learn that Q's actually a bit of a loser, right? He wastes his time essentially messing around in humans' lives, and not only that, but a very specific group of human lives. And when you think about an omnipotent being, that's pretty much the most loser activity.
It's a troll. It's basically a troll, isn't it?
Yeah, but and obviously later on that gets revealed. The rest of the continuum kind of treat him like a joke, and it works.
Yeah, they're a bit more mature. One thing I will say is I think the specific turning point of this episode, when it comes to Q, is the bit where Picard turns to Q and says, I've got people down there, Q, can you help me? And at that point, he kind of softens. That's when he changes, right? And he's going to, I want to keep an eye on, these people interest me. Because they're paying him attention and giving him respect, right?
Yeah.
Again, like an internet troll kind of thing.
Yeah.
He's a galactic troll.
Do you know the actor's name? I don't know the actor's name. But kudos to him, man. He's so good, and he's good throughout the entirety of the series.
Yeah, he's very good. He's he's kind of significant in. I know it's going to sound weird, but My Little Pony.
Oh really?
I think he does voices for that, and he does conventions for that and stuff like that. But yeah,
I didn't know that. Yeah,
but he's really good. He's really good.
He's fantastic.
Got great charisma and presence, and as the Q, he works really well. So.
Yeah, because he's got that face. It's hard to read him. You're like, is he angry? Yeah. Does he mean what he's saying? He's got that perfect
and that sarcastic voice as well. Yeah,
great. It's excellent.
I mean, to me, the two great things that came out of Next Generation in terms of Star Trek lore, well, three probably: Data, Q, and Borg. The Borg. Those, there's others. The Ferengi are kind of interesting and stuff like that. But Q's a big deal. In the Star Trek
and that's what I mean. Like at the end of episode 1 and I guess 2, if you count them as, but at the end of Farpoint, you're like, oh god, oh no, when Q shows up next, it's going to be pretty scary. But then later on, actually, you realise it's not that big a deal. Actually,
but having said that, there is at least one Q episode where it is shit your pants scary and awesome.
Oh yeah,
yes.
We
will get to that.
But yeah, at this point, Q is still a threat, is what I was trying to get to. He becomes a joke, definitely. But he is not a joke at this point in the story.
It's almost like the Daleks in Doctor Who, right? They were like terrifying, but then when you keep beating them or encountering them over and over again, they get less and less scary, more comedy almost.
Yeah,
because it becomes trivialized, kind of thing. But yeah, so
that's pretty much the summary, isn't it?
Yeah. So I mean, we love Star Trek, so we'll be talking about all sorts, and I suspect we'll be talking about Star Trek for the first, I don't know, several episodes of this.
Yeah.
But at some point, we'll probably get bored of that and go off and talk about something else. But what that is, we can't tell you because we're not sure.
We're not sure. Sorry, I didn't want to go back. We haven't talked about, what did you think of Picard in this first episode? The way they characterized him, anyway.
It was mostly spot on. It was just a couple of cringy things which didn't quite ring true. But I'd say mostly they fit his character. He's almost perfectly formed as a character, and it's consistent. He changes through the series, absolutely, because of what happens to him. There's quite traumatic stuff happens to Picard, but he's I think it's really well written, but there's a couple of the stuff with Riker where he talks to Riker about needing help, which seems a bit that's not quite the right, but mostly he's quite uptight in this one, isn't he?
He's very uptight in this one. Like, that was the biggest thing for me. I think they probably toned it down based on, I'm assuming, audience. I don't know. On somebody.
Well, I think you could argue why he's like that, though. If you know all of the lore or a lot of the lore about Star Trek, you can kind of work it out because he used to be quite the guy when he was young, right? He got into fights and all sorts. And presumably the Enterprise is his first big command, so he wants to do things by the book, and so he's probably. Faking it till you're making it. There might be a bit of that.
No, I don't know, because he was captain of the Stargazer, right? He was captain of the last ship. This is
he is a captain. Yes, I know he's an experienced captain.
But
it could be. You could argue that's why he's so uptight in this one. And it's a new crew, right? So he doesn't want to be too informal with them. He does lighten up quite a bit. But even so, having said that, through 7 seasons, it takes him ages to lighten up. What is it? Right late in season 6 when he goes and just plays poker with them, for example.
Yeah,
things like that, right?
You know what's funny, right? The scene at the end, the scene that you don't like, interestingly enough, is the one where I felt like the whole of Farpoint, he was almost like a different. I don't recognize him very well. And then, but that last scene where he's talking to Riker. And he kind of like pulls the veil back almost. Like, now we're in my ready room and it's just you and me. Just FYI. You're not leaving me on the bridge. I go where I like, by the way. But I like the fact that you would think like that and you're sticking by your guns. You're looking after the crew, you're looking after the captain. I like that about you. And also, I hate kids. I liked that. I thought that I saw. I was like, you know what? That's Picard right there. The uptight guy who's telling him to look at a monitor and stuff was cringy Yoda shit from like Empire. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to be a troll before I teach the Padawan kind of thing. Go and look at the monitor. I'm not even going to talk to you. I'm not even going to welcome you to the bridge. But that last part of the episode where they shake hands and you know that it's going to work is that for me was like, okay, yeah, this is a great place to like go off into the series. I thought they did a really good job with that scene. Just like they're gonna work together and it's gonna work. It's not like, oh man, the captain's a hard ass and Riker doesn't really like him. There's none of that drama like Roddenberry wanted. Everybody's gonna play nice. You can kind of see that.
Yeah.
By the end of the first episode.
Yeah, we haven't seen some of the more iconic elements of it yet. I mean, one of the most iconic elements of Next Gen is the meetings, right? You know, when they sit around and discuss stuff and make a plan. We didn't have that in this episode, did we? We had a bit of discussion near the end when they were trying to figure out what was going on, but it's much more, let's have a meeting, right? And one of the things about Star Trek is watching people at work who are good at their jobs doing work, right? That's the sort of essence of the show, isn't it? In many respects. I think they also got they cast well. They either got really lucky or they just cast well. Brent Spiner turns out to be a great actor. We all knew Patrick Stewart was a good actor before he started, right? Everyone knew that. And I think, some of them are not as good as others. But the mix works well. I mean, LeVar Burton's a great actor, for example.
Yeah.
Michael Dorn gets better and better as he goes, right? And stuff like that. And some are sort of weaker than others, but it doesn't matter because it's it's a bit like the X-Files. Even weak episodes, you just like hanging around with these characters, right?
And I think that's it for me, right? Like when I see that bridge and I see those characters, I just want to live there. I just want to live on that Galaxy class fucking Enterprise. That Enterprise D. I just want to live on it. I want to be around those people. And like
the thing is, you and me will be lower deck. We'll be the holodeck jizmop.
Oh,
won't we? You know what I
mean? 100%. Yeah, I'd have been. I'd have got like phased into the floor or something on the first adventure.
Yeah, something like, you'll be
brutal death.
Yeah, or your bottom will be the wrong way around from the top or something, right?
Yeah, it's like home, and it's one of the things I love about it. It brings back all those memories for me. But I think that it's something that I think that News Trek and sort of some of the other ones have kind of lost that magic a little bit, where they have these really dark bridges and really hard edge characters
moody
with like
shit,
real world problems and stuff, and it's like take me back to the carpet bridge and the well lit rooms and like you say, the office meetings that are well lit and the adults who are talking around them seriously. And I love it.
I love it. I mean, Star Trek went a bit weird, didn't it, with like Discovery and that. It just got like we don't really want to be Star Trek. It's like, why are you calling yourself Star Trek? And other stuff like the Orville were doing it better. And it was weird, right? But they're slightly coming back.
Yeah, I've not seen the Orville yet. That could be something like a new watch that happens at some point. Because you've waxed lyrical.
Maybe we'll do an episode sometime. But again, it's one of those shows. The more you watch, the more you like Star Trek. It's the more you watch, the more meaningful it is to you because you understand the basis of the characters. And can understand their motivations better. I mean, of all these characters, I mean, who has the most interesting evolutions? It's kind of difficult to say. They all have an evolution, don't they? Most. Picard does. Worf does. Data does. Those are probably the big ones, right? In terms of
and like Riker being static is almost part of his character too.
Yeah,
they work that in of like, this is a guy who isn't actually going anywhere, but he's okay with it. he's happy with that.
He knows what he is and he wants to do that.
It's about him coming around to that eventually. But it's I don't know. I think they focus on some big characters, and I guess we'll talk about them later on in other episodes. But
right. I think we're I mean, the episode's a pretty decent one. It's not as good as I remember it, but I did enjoy it quite a lot. Both episodes of this, but I found it a little more clunky than I remembered it in places. But I liked it, and I think I felt Picard was more spot on than you feel he was spot on.
Yeah, that's
Actually.
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wondered how it would have been received when it first came out. Because I think about my dad, right, who's a big TOS guy, and I think he would have been excited at the end
Oh
of this
yeah.
episode. Seeing Q and then the very Star Trek mystery on Farpoint that and the space creatures. I think they nailed Star Trek in this episode, which I think is a
Yeah.
core thing which later series kind of miss on.
Yeah. I
This
think they
is a
did.
great
I think
version
they
of that.
did.
And like you say, it's clunky, it's rough around the edges, but overall, a great pilot episode, I think.
Yeah, I think from what I've read, basically this was what they wanted, and this is what they got. And the Gene Roddenberry influence caused a few issues in terms of dramatic building drama. But some series just took their time. Deep Space Nine took a bit of time to find its feet. Voyager, I think, missed its feet. To be honest, from what I've read, and I've never really seen an episode in there.
Well,
there should have been
yeah.
a constant drama within, one lot of the crew wanted to do this and one lot, but they just resolved it all in the first episode, I understand. And then it was we're all the same crew doing stuff. But I could be wrong. I haven't watched it.
You need to watch it. People sleep on Voyager. There's a lot of discourse about it. People sleep on it. People want it to be Battlestar Galactica, right? Which is what some of the writers wanted to.
And then they went off and made Battlestar Galactica, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's fine. But I love Voyager, and I think you will too. Don't listen to the haters. Is all I'll say.
Okay. All right. Well, we can certainly dip into it, but I have to watch all.
There's a lot to go through, man. You've got
2.5 more seasons of Deep Space Nine before I start Voyager, so I'm not quite there yet.
That's the best thing about old Trek is that there's loads of it. So I don't care that the new Trek stuff is rubbish. I can always dip into whatever series I like, and there's loads to enjoy.
Yeah. So is Next Gen your favourite one? Or
I think it is. Yeah, it's the thing that's closest to my heart, right? Like I can put on any episode, even if it's the shit ones. I know there's loads of shit ones. I can laugh at the bad ones. But like being on that bridge and being on that ship with those characters, it has like a homely feel to it. And it's special to me. This show is special. So
I think this is my second favorite. I'm an old, I started with TOS. So that's my one. It might be a bit like James Bond's or Doctor Who's. The first one you encounter is your favourite, right? It might be a bit of that.
It could be that. Yeah, it could be that. And I love TOS. But like you say, I came to TOS when I was older, and I saw the episodes which TNG rehashed, right? And I was like, oh yeah, that's like that TNG episode. When obviously,
whereas I was thinking of it the other way around.
The other way around, exactly. So yeah, there you go. It's like a generational thing, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, I think we can wind that one up there. That's our first episode. So we'll in very soon we'll be bringing you another one, and which will probably almost certainly be Star Trek of some sort. Probably Next Gen, to be honest, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of things I want to talk about with Next Gen, and if for somehow you're listening to this, whoever you are, thank you for listening to our random rant. Incredible that anyone's made it this far.
Yes.
I hope you enjoyed it anyway.
Yeah. As we develop, we might be asking for feedback and stuff. This is our first episode, so we're finding our feet, working out what platforms we want to be on, stuff like that. So we're not quite sure where we're going to end up in terms of platforms. But if you're listening to this, you found us.
I don't think this is going to be our Farpoint. I don't think we did quite as good a job as Farpoint did, but it's fine. We'll get there.
Yeah, fair enough. All right then, let's wind over there. So bye from me.
And see you later, everyone. Bye bye.
Yeah, so bye from Tellypathic.